Welcome to MNTV News. We begin with the international news. Israel calls for all civilians to leave Gaza City. Israel-Hamas war. Israel signals possible ground offensive in Gaza. Soon Hamas calls it a fake propaganda. The Israeli military has announced that around 1.1 million civilians will be evacuated from Gaza City for their own safety within 24 hours. Amid concerns that the Israel-Hamas war could spread in the region, this is the first instance of Israel strikes on Syria since the Palestinian armed group. UN spokesman Stephen Jarrick called the order impossible without devastating humanitarian consequences. The first flight under Operation Ajai landed in Delhi from Israel early Friday with evacuated Indians, mostly students, praising the Indian embassy's smooth facilitation and coordination throughout the rescue efforts. Palestinian militant groups said 13 hostages, including foreigners, were killed in Israeli strikes in the last 24 hours. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin arrived today in the Israel city to meet the senior government leaders and see firsthand some of the U.S. weapons and security assistance that Washington rapidly delivered to Israel in the first week of its war with the militant Hamas group. Within hours after the brutal attack across the border into Israel, the U.S. moved warships and aircraft to the region. Austin declined to say if the U.S. is doing surveillance flights in the region, but the U.S. is providing intelligence and the planning assistance to the Israelis, including advising the whole state situation. The UN Humanitarian Office said that more than 40,000 people fled their homes in the Gaza Strip, and 23 aid workers had been killed since the start of Israeli retaliatory strikes in response to a deadly Hamas incursion. The Israeli military has announced that around 1.1 million civilians will be evacuated from Gaza City for their own safety within 24 hours. It is also said that it will continue to operate significantly in the area in the coming days, and residents will be allowed to return only when an announcement permitting them to do so will be made. The military also ordered Gazans to not approach the area of fence with Israel. Terrorism against humanity have to move forward with a human-centric approach, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi at P20 summit. Addressing the inaugural session of the Parliamentary Speakers Summit of G20 nations, Mr. Narendra Modi lamented that there isn't unanimity on the definition of terrorism even in the United Nations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on October 13th, inaugurating the 9th P20 summit, said that terrorism, no matter where it happens or what reason, it is against the humanity. Addressing the inaugural session of the Parliamentary Speakers Summit of G20 nations, Mr. Narendra Modi lamented that there isn't unanimity on the definition of terrorism even in the United Nations. He cautioned that conflicts and confrontations being faced by the world today do not benefit anyone, saying that the world has to move forward with a human-centric approach. The top highlights: India facing cross-border terrorism since decades. Terrorists have killed thousands of innocents. We have to look at the world with the sentiment of one earth, one family, one future. We have to move obstacles in the way of global trust and move forward with human-centric approach. This is a time for peace, brotherhood, and moving together. It is time for everyone's development. In 21st century, India's vibrancy, unity in diversity is our big strength. Invite all P20 delegates to visit India next year to witness the general elections. G20 presidency ensured festivities in India throughout the year. India landing on the moon added to the celebrations. It is a unique confluence of various parliamentary practices from around the world. 100 crore voters will cast their vote next year in general elections in India. India's parliamentary practices have evolved and strengthened with the time. Thank you. See you tomorrow. It's me, Sharon Vinod, signing off.